Hey, speaking of the K1 and guys that did well, what's up with Bob Sapp? Now, these aren't real fights he's going to do in these countries, right? Is the opponent in on the gag? Like this guy that hits him after the bell for 5 seconds? Pudzianowski's a gentleman. He's a sportsman. He's going to punch somebody after the bell unless in the back you worked it out. Hey, let me cover up and then act mad about it. I mean, come on. That whole thing looks so fugazi. That couldn't be real. Bob Sapp gets a paycheck. I mean, this is my opinion. But
it doesn't look good.
The whole thing was bad. And I think what made it worse was when Pudzianowski kept hitting him after the bell. Like, come on, Pudge. You're not going to do that unless you know this looks awful. It's like when Dan Severn and Shannon Rich did their work. Dan, come on, man. You're caught on this. This is brutal. And your interviews after the fact are worse than the poor job you did in the ring at fooling people.
I didn't see that fight.
Oh, you didn't see
it?
Do you know what a round-off is from gymnastics? It's a gymnastics.
Like a handspring.
It's a handspring, and you'll usually turn. Dan Severn hit one of those in the fight. I'll just let you know that Shannon did something. Dan Severn hits a round off in the middle of the ring, and he stumbles. Oh God, it was so bad, Joe. It was so. And then after the match, they do their interviews, and their interview, Dan Severn's cover up of the work was worse than the work. Well, I was just fortunate to get over on Shannon Rich. He's such a great competitor. Shannon Rich has never won a fight. Dan Severn was a former multiple-time world champion. Absolutely legendary in our sport. I was just fortunate to have a good enough training camp to get.
Wow.
Dan, you got to stop, man. You got to stop. We've all been in the locker room and Shannon Rich walks in and says, "Who wants the night off?" All right, Shannon, I guess I'll take you. I mean, this isn't a secret in the industry, Dan. Quit, come on. You got caught. Just call it what it is.
Wow, that's weird. Well, he always did a lot of pro wrestling as well, didn't he?
Yeah, horribly.
Yeah.
He got a stint in the WWE, and they just couldn't use him. They said, "Look, you got to go."
Just not entertaining enough.
He just didn't get it. He couldn't work. If you watch his Shannon match and you see how bad he did it, it was so bad, man. It was so bad. This was the brilliance of Pride, and I get heat when I talk about Vanderlei and Crow Cop doing their fake matches. But in America, if you're going to do a pro wrestling match, both guys will sit in the back, and they'll come up with what they're going to do. They call it their spots. Okay, you do this, then I'll do that. In Pride, what they would do is the promoter would visit one locker room. So if you're going to take on Vanderlei or Crow Cop, your promoter shows up, boom, here's your 10 grand, and here's how this fight's going to end. Vanderlei isn't privy to that. So when the guy goes down, his celebration is genuine because he doesn't know that the guy got his locker room visit. It's the same thing with Crow Cop that thought one leg cemetery and one leg hospital. No, Crow Cop, your legs aren't knocking people out. The promoter visited the back beforehand. That's what's knocking out. And then I made this public. I outed these guys because I don't like either one of them.
Well, so, there were absolutely some legit knockouts.
For sure.
Like
for
Vanderlei and Crow Cop, the second fight.
Oh, sure, when he kicked his head up. Yeah, I remember that fight. I enjoyed their first fight, too, when Vanderlei won. Well, I think they called it a draw.
It was a draw
rules,
because,
but Vanderlei won, per our scoring system.
I agree.
But as soon as I said also Goodridge and Coleman, all these guys going, yeah, he's right. There was a bunch of payoffs.
Well, there had to be Takada and Coleman.
It's like, come on. You don't
remember Takada and Coleman?
Yeah, you don't have to put on your Colombo rain jacket to figure this out,
Excuse me. Pardon me.
Excuse me. How come I'm 22-0 in Japan and can't win 2 straight in America?
They offered Eddie a fixed fight.
Let me let you know. Eddie Bravo?
Eddie Bravo got offered by not to be named Japet to lose, or to win rather.
Oh,
to beat Tokoro. They were going to have it set up. But meanwhile, it could have been a double cross where he goes there and he thinks Tokoro is going to lay down, and Koro beats the shit out of him.
That's what we call the screw job finish, Joe. The Montreal screw job is what we call that.
Yeah, there's a word for it in the professional pool, too. I think it's a double dump. I think you dump both ways.
I see. Is that what it is?